Will they ever be elite again? MarkRogersTV, the voice of college football, breaking down Michigan for 2020 as we march through all the schedules starting in the Big Ten. Please join us for the rest of our schedule breakdowns right here at MarkRogersTV, the voice of college football. If you love what we do, and even if you disagree with me, college football content at the highest level each and every day. Like, comment, share the videos out on social media, and subscribe so you get the notifications and turn on the bell so you know when we're going live each and every week. All right, let's take a look at Michigan. It starts with a matchup out on the West Coast against Washington, where the Wolverines have historically struggled, as has most of the Big Ten on the West Coast. Historically, Michigan should be a slight favorite in this game at Washington. The Huskies coming off a 7-5 campaign. Lose head coach Chris Peterson, of course, at the end of 2019 prior to the bowl game, and quarterback Jacob Eason. We will break down the Huskies a little bit later, of course, the schedule and the personnel headed to 2020. Ball State, Arkansas State to conclude the non-conference matchups for the Wolverines in the Big House. And as you can see off to the side of the games in question are W's, L's, and T's. And so what we have right there are projected wins, losses, and toss-ups. So when I say wins, I'm talking about almost guaranteed lock, stock, and barrel wins. Losses would be the same thing. 90-some% certainty that the team's going to lose the game. The toss-ups aren't necessarily 50-50 toss-ups, but where there's a reasonable chance that the other team will win the game, something in at least a 20 or 25% range. And for Michigan, that starts in Big Ten play with an extremely difficult conference start. Playing Wisconsin and Penn State at home. Of course, the Wolverines went to Happy Valley, and they've been trading home wins with the Nittany Lions in recent years. Wisconsin, of course, was a excruciatingly difficult loss for Michigan in 2019, going to Madison and getting just blown out in the first half and losing big. But they blew out the Badgers in Ann Arbor 2 years ago, so a little bit of payback possibly back at home against Wisconsin. Wisconsin and Penn State at home, at Michigan State, and I think we need to refocus, many of us, on Michigan State football. Without Mark D'Antonio, and even with D'Antonio in play, it's been just a smidge above 500 program for the past 4 football seasons at 3-9, 10-3, 7-6, 7-6. So the trip to Michigan State, as Michigan has once again taken over this rivalry back from Michigan State, should be a win.
With currently no NBA, NHL, or Major League Baseball, you might think there's nothing to bet on. Well, you'd be wrong. BetOnline still has hundreds of places to wager, from their online casino to poker and blackjack, all open 24 hours a day and all online. Sports aren't totally done. There's still mixed martial arts, golf, esports, XFL, and many more. And hey, what about American Idol? The elections, the spelling bee, and even the Nathan's Hot Dog Eating Contest. Be sure to use promo code CLNS50, that's CLNS50, to receive your 50% welcome bonus on your very first deposit. Bet Online, your full access wagering solution.
And then a date at Minnesota against the Golden Gophers. Now let's see if Minnesota is quite up to the challenge in regards to maintaining strong elite status in the Big Ten. Coming off 11-2, let's not, after one season, anoint Minnesota as a year-in, year-out contender in the conference. We shall see, but again, a difficult date for Michigan playing at Minnesota. Then the home stretch gets mighty easy there up until that game, of course, in Columbus, where we've got Purdue, Maryland, Rutgers, and Indiana. Despite Michigan being a substantial favorite in most of those games, I consider the Indiana game to be a bit of a toss-up. Again, the game's at home against the Hoosiers. Michigan should be, if things play out as expected, Indiana's going to be a 7-5 type team. Michigan more in the 9-3 range. Probably a 2-touchdown favorite against Indiana. But that has been a difficult out for Michigan, of course, here under Jim Harbaugh, excluding last season when they separated themselves in Bloomington, winning by 25 points. Then you got what we still consider the game at Ohio State, possibly for the Big Ten Eastern Division Championship. Yes, Ohio State fans and Michigan fans even, I give it the toss-up factor. Again, not 50-50, but maybe at this point, we're talking in March. This game's the last week of November. Maybe Michigan's got a 20% chance of winning, despite the look of having no chance of winning against the Ohio State Buckeyes in recent years. There's something to be talked about and something to be dissected in regards to Michigan's performance against Ohio State when lesser teams have routinely challenged, i.e. Indiana, Ohio State on a regular basis, excluding 2019 51-10. Indiana is hung with Ohio State and a lot of lesser teams in the Big Ten, marginal mid-tier teams in the Big Ten. So in addition to a talent gap, there is a psychological factor with Michigan football taking on Ohio State these days, and they will have to do so in Columbus, coming off 2 4-score losses the past 2 seasons. So for Michigan football right now, coming off 9-3, 7-2 in the Big Ten last season, my projected record for 2020, and of course our prediction, our actual final prediction that you can hold us to, is coming in August. But for right now, add up the wins, the losses, and the toss-ups, and we've got 9-3, 6-3 in the Big Ten. Yes, I do expect Michigan to go out to Washington and take care of business to start out. Fairly rough go for Michigan football in its draw against the Big Ten Western Division. Of course, that's key in evaluating these schedules, is who you play in the other division. The Big Ten plays 3 of the other 7 teams in the other side of the conference. And for Michigan, of course, it's Wisconsin and Minnesota, the 2 best teams in the division last year, and a date against Purdue, a team that could bounce back from a 4-8 finish under Jeff Brom in 2019. Would love to get your thoughts on Michigan football and a record projection for Jim Harbaugh as he tries to get over the hump of first, basically, Penn State. They've got the Nittany Lions at home, and of course that's going to be a huge telling factor of whether Michigan's prepared to play for big stakes at the end of the year against Wisconsin and Penn State early, as Michigan proceeds and tries to break through in the Big Ten Eastern Division. Right here at Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football. We will see you with those Ohio State Buckeyes next.